right. And I firmly believe perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do.
What up, what up? Zach Bradshaw, long-winded guy. Back with another Trading Journal video, following up on yesterday, where I bought some Ethereum for the first time in a couple of years, um, because I was anticipating a breakout, and now we can take a look at what has actually happened, and then I'm going to comment on a couple of extra things. So you see here that, I don't know, my first buy was probably about right here. My second buy was somewhere in these couple of candles. And then yesterday, I had plenty of chances to sell for better than a 10% move. I did not do so. I was actually looking for rebuys at potentially here, which I had an alert set right here like this one, that got fired off this morning, just as I was waking up. It was actually one of the things that helped me actually get my ass out of bed, around like 6 o'clock or 6:05, something like that. And that that was an alert that was set right here, that got broken through, and now I have this one still set, which is my, kind of my stop loss level where I'll take my L and just sell out of my positions that I got in here. And then I'm also matching this up with Bitcoin and what it is doing. And you see Bitcoin, after, I don't know, I probably bought here, so I probably ate a bit of an L, on my last Bitcoin buy. And now it's come down to this next alert that I had. So for several days now, I've had this in here as the range that I was expecting this to stay between. Um, After watching Crown's video yesterday, I think maybe I can extend this range up a little bit higher, this one to the top, and this one down here, I guess I could probably eat to like 33.5 or something like that, before I'd say, okay, this one's probably going to go ahead and return down to 30. And for that $4,000 move, I would probably sell out of some of my Bitcoin position here, so that I could then be prepared to buy some later. I might wait to a close, till actual closed candle, uh, not just a wick firing down there, but in doing that, I could, eat a bigger loss, because of that. But this range has been in here for several days, and um, because it's been here, because I've had this set, it's making me less panicked than I might be after seeing a nice motion like this. It looked like it was going for a parabolic run up. If you noticed my last videos, it was going for a parabolic run up, and then it just looks like it just, shattered down overnight. And it wasn't really all overnight, because some of this had started to happen yesterday. Well, I guess a lot of this had started to happen yesterday. But this morning, upon waking up, getting that first alert, and now seeing this price of Bitcoin, I actually bought some Ethereum a little bit about right here, because it was actually on this candle. But I bought some Ethereum and I bought some Bitcoin at those lowest points. Now, if I would have been not FOMOing in because I was scared that this thing was gonna, explode to 60,000, Bitcoin was gonna explode to 60,000, and I didn't want to miss it, fear of missing out. That's what I'm saying. I FOMOed in. So I went ahead and bought a little bit too much while Bitcoin was playing out, this range. And then, I won't say that I bought too much Ethereum, but I should have sold some up here. Should have sold some up here. I should have, instead of the way that I was thinking about it yesterday in my interplay video, was that Ethereum is going to carry Bitcoin up. And I was just having too much faith in a shitcoin, and that's my own fault. So Ethereum is doing its thing, but it does not have the power to drag Bitcoin up. Is I don't know that that's true, but that's how I'm interpreting this right now. Because it was somewhat surprising to not. It was it. I mean, there's several parts of this that is surprising, but I did not expect Ethereum to come down like this. I was actually expecting Bitcoin to come up to match it, right? And these charts are on a different time scale. Again, like I pointed out yesterday, this peak happened a little bit later than this peak did a couple of days later. That peak is probably more like right here. On the Ethereum chart, the peak was probably more right here. Here's Bitcoin's peak. It comes down. Ethereum comes down, it builds back up its percentage in comparison to this prior high more quickly than Bitcoin. It quickly gets above, let's just say like the halfway mark and stays above it. Bitcoin takes a little bit longer in consolidation here, gets above the halfway point or so, but then quickly falls back below it and really hasn't spent as much time at the top of the range unless you include all the way up here, right? That was happening first, which, I mean, it's fair to include it. And there's different shapes that we could put on this chart, as you would have seen in the other videos. It's changed since the last one, so here might be an example. Someone else might, someone else might draw it slightly differently. But let's do something like that. Now this one isn't, well, I guess it is. Let's see. Whoa, did I not just turn that off? No, I did. So maybe we could do it like this, or maybe we could do it somewhere in here. Maybe there's one here as well, that may have just been broken. You know, I'm just drawing pretty shapes on the chart. This is not, you know, this is no gospel. This is just me playing around, trying to make, not to say make predictions, but try to fit into a range the things that I think could happen, right? So obviously I've had this range set in here for a while, and I wanted to just show when those alerts were put in. So for this, for Bitcoin, right, I have, let's just filter this by Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, I have, looks like I have a double alert here, so I'm going to delete that. It's basically the same price. But I've had, since the 10th and 11th, the big range, 42 to 30, right? So that's like 10 days ago. I've had these two ranges set in. This is the top range that I had, and then once this bottom range was set, I was able to set this in. But still, for the last 3 to 4 days, I've had both of these two in, and there was a couple more. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, so there was one around 36. That was if it rose above that. And I don't need to go. You see, I have a bunch of alerts. I don't need to go back too far in time. But the point is that by setting in these ranges, and maybe it would be, you know, better if I did it like Crown or Dan the Man at Chart Guys, and left in horizontal lines where I thought these different areas were, right? Right now I might do it something like this. You know, I don't like my charts to get too crazy looking, at least not this basic one, and maybe I need to start saving my charts again like I used to. But the point is that I was able to keep this range that helped me stay conservative slash, you know, it's keeping me from FOMOing. It would have made a lot more sense if instead of buying in here, right, I was trying to front run what I thought was going to be an upwards move. Instead of buying in here, I should have waited for it to break above here, maybe come up and then tested back and then bought in this area, or once it broke above it, bought in this area if it was on a close or a longer term time frame instead of just like popping up there for a second on a short term move. But now, despite that, these could end up being really good buys in this area, because my bias is that this thing is still going to go up. And this will mean that I bought in the 36, 37 range instead of in the 38 range, right? And in terms of the trade setup, this was a bad idea to get in just because I saw 3 sitting crows or whatever this thing is. And I was like, ooh, the shape of that, what's going on with Ethereum, all this, let me go ahead and get in. None of my trading rules were triggered or anything like that. I was just looking at the chart thinking I knew it was going to happen, and just bought stuff. That's not recommended. That's highly discouraged. But because I'm not buying Ripple or, you know, even Ethereum, which I'm not as confident about, despite buying some Ethereum, even when I did that, I was buying more Bitcoin. So it's not like I'm I'm not 50% into Ethereum or something like that. I think I have like 10% Ethereum. Let's just check. 20% Ethereum. Yeah, because now, oh, okay. So I did have a little bit more cash left over. But as this came down and tested both of these two lines, I did end up putting in a buy, right? So this is kind of like my stop loss level, right? I had this one here. I mean, if it broke below that, I'll probably get out of my Ethereum position and look for moves at least down to here. Yeah, at least down to 1060, and that could still be on the table if, depending on what happens with Bitcoin and Ethereum from here. This might be a level that I would rebuy, and so I wouldn't just hold from there, right? Even though I would think that both of these are probably going up, even Ethereum at this point, I would not hold for that 14% loss. I would let go of my position here and then look to pick it back up here or pick it back up here because I really don't need a 25% loss. And this would also, on a higher term time frame, right? I'm looking at 4-hour candles now. I'm on a higher term time frame. I mean, this is perfectly healthy. It could put in a higher low anywhere in any of these areas and look like it's going to continue to go up. So even this fall, as dramatic as it is, I mean, the percentage on this is ugly, 10% or so. Yeah. Even though this was a 10% fall, because these are on the long term going up, it's very similar to anybody who's applying more funds to their 401k every single month, and it's just buying the S&P or buying some mutual fund, some 60-year fund or whatever, and just because the asset is going up over a long period of time makes poorly timed buys end up being profitable. So as an example to that, let's look at the monthly chart on Bitcoin real quick. And so let's say you're getting your paychecks. Geez. You're getting your paychecks every month and you're just throwing money into a Bitcoin fund. Think of this like your 401k or whatever. Every month whenever your paycheck comes, it gets invested into the fund. Now, the fund managers, they will do their best to buy strategically, but you can see that even if you bought, like let's say on this month, even if you bought at the worst possible timing, right? You put your money in at the beginning, they bought at the end. Even with that timing, in the next month you gain 40%, right? And if we look at this at the next level, right, in 2 months you gained 110, and right, let's say this comes back to, let's say it ends here at the end of this month, right, wherever the body of the candle is signifies the open and close, and then the wick represents the entire range that was traded through that month. So this month started here, went down, and then came up, and then came back down a little bit to close right here. This candle looks like it started here, came down. Yeah, I mean, it could have gone up first and then come down, and then it went up all the way up here, and now right here it's sitting here. If the month were to end like this, then this candle would be set in stone with this large wick at the top. Now, when it comes to trading the S&P 500 or whatever else, most people, well, I shouldn't say trading, most people who are investing in the S&P or the NASDAQ or whatever, has somebody else timing in their buys. So these are monthly candles, and somebody who's timing your buys might make your buys based on the weekly candles, or might make their buys based on the daily candles. So you put your money in at the beginning of the month, and they hold a little bit of your cash to the side so that they can buy on this dip, or they can buy on this dip, or they can buy on this dip. Or some of them, more advanced ones, especially if you're with family office hedge fund or something like that, may even have in some good sells, right? Generally, if they're investing for you, they're going to be less about selling, unless there's an important reason to sell, a defensive sell, but less about taking profits, more about just continuing to accumulate value. And so the way that I'm trading crypto is I try to catch trades so I can fold over my percentages, but this is really a long-term play. So one of the main issues, one of the main points of me even making this video, is that I see this formation as boding well, and it's got to keep looking good, but I see this formation as boding well for a move to 60,000. first probably like 45, and then it'll make another decision. It could reject from there, but I doubt it. 50 to 60,000. And my time frame for that is like months. But I made the mistake of yesterday buying on candles that were not decision making candles, right? On both Ethereum and Bitcoin. Buying on these candles, and now I'm basically all the way in, back stuck into a position that is a worse position than I had a couple of days ago before I fat fingered my way out of all of my stack instead of just 10% of it. But we're still playing in this range here. And from here, now that this little rejection off of my stupid buys yesterday on Ethereum has not panned out. Now, I'm not sure it hasn't panned out because this buy that I had this morning is already doing quite well, and it did not break my stop level. It didn't even put a wick through my stop level. So I'm, you know, in 2 hours I might feel even more confident about those buys, especially if this thing just keeps powering back up into 1300. You know, it might have been a perfect decision, but it was not. It might have been a lucky decision. It was not a perfect decision because my trading style and things like that do not actually back up. You know, I did not execute these trades the way that I really want to. And I kind of just FOMO'd in because I was like, man, I don't want to miss this Ethereum breaking through its all-time highs and popping. And you see, it did break through its all-time highs, but it didn't pop that hard. And so that is a lesson learned here. But one that obviously, if you're watching this video, it's probably because I said, hey, you have to watch this because I'm the boss or whatever. Or, you know, maybe one of my friends may actually be interested in me making these silly videos. But mistake made. Looking at the long-term planning helps avoid the FOMO and the FUD. And so now I'm feeling, you know, a couple hours after, well, I guess about an hour after I bought back in down here, which buying at a loss, right? It would have been better if I would have been paying better attention. And I was kind of thinking about this last night, or if I would have been awake, I should say, and could have sold when this broke down. And I would have actually had a profit on the positions I bought down here. But having my long range levels set in allowed me to be not conservative, but allow me to have strong hands, allow me to hold my bag, anticipating that this will rise again. And something that, you know, somebody I kind of use as an indicator is Crown. And based on, like, I was surprised to hear him say, like, I recorded my video yesterday and then I watched his video. And he said that he thought that we would come down and test 34. So luckily I watched that yesterday. I mean, it ends up being very similar. I guess he said, yeah, he said test 34, but his limit of breaking is 33.5 or around there. And that ends up matching up with my long-term levels that I had set in, which helped to reinforce to me, okay, this could come, as opposed to me stopping out a little bit higher in this range, like 35.8 or 35.7, and then looking to buy back here. I'll just hold, buy here, and then be more diligent about this stop loss, right? If it starts to break below here, then I will definitely be looking to sell, might buy back a little bit at 32, but then looking for another large position at 30. And if that happens, I will have another very tight stop loss on that, because it will be a decision-making point where it's either going to say, no, we're not going down, and we're going to base our way back up into here, could establish some new levels around like 32 or something like that, progress through here for another couple of weeks, and then push its way up. If that's what happens, I'd be very curious. I will be very glad that I'm in Ethereum so I can watch the interplay between these, as that last video was named. But if it comes down here to the 30s, I'm going to be very tight about the stop loss, because if it breaks below here, before it would have just come down to 20. Now it looks like it, or 28, I'm sorry. Now it looks like it will probably come all the way down here, and maybe down here, just due to the amount of time that this has been trying to resolve itself in here, and the amount of volume that has been traded in this range. It is clearly tailing off on a daily scale. But the next time that this ramps up, it's going to go big. It's either going to go big up or it's going to go big down. And big up is a you know, like 60,000, so it's like 20K. But big down is like down to 20,000, so it's a loss of like 10 to 15K. But percentage wise, not losing is much more important than gaining. So, you know, my trading style of halfway trading, halfway investing, it only works because Bitcoin is a good long-term play. I'm less confident about it on something like Ethereum, or, you know, that's why I didn't get into Chainlink yesterday, you know, as per my video. So longest one of my trading journals so far, or at least since I've started doing them again. That's it for this one. Henry, especially pay attention to this one. Probably watch this one twice and ask me some questions about it so that you can understand the logic here, because eventually, right, I'm going to be telling you like, hey, sell, buy based on rules. And obviously this pertains to your position because you are building a position in this range and with Ethereum as well. And now we have a little more understanding between us on that. Anybody else has questions about my stupid trading videos? This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not even a good trader yet, if you haven't noticed. But if you have questions about stuff, you want to know who, you know, I follow or what, you know, how I learned, then, you know, shoot, and I will be happy to answer. Thanks for watching my trading crap. Peace.